All right, the clock says 7 o'clock, and I just put a new battery in it 2 days ago, so I'm assuming it's accurate. So I'm going to open the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, and we'll start with the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Mathis.
Here.
Trustee Gifford.
Here.
Trustee Laughlin.
Here.
Trustee Rizzo.
Here.
Mayor Katsberg.
Here. And we're going to forge right ahead to recognition of Jack Collins. Jack, I want to meet you right at the end of the DS here.
Okay.
Here's your youngest fan.
That's right. All right.
So, Jack, when I first got elected trustee was 2002. And I had the benefit of being able to get out of school at 2:30, stop in, and maybe 3 times a week, talk with the mayor to see what was going on. So we had a pretty good relationship, and that's how I learned how things worked in the village. So as we talked about different things like the bid and the decorations and the events that went on, and every time I said to somebody, you know, well, who takes care of that or who do I talk? He'd say, oh, I'll talk to Jack Collins. So anytime something came up where the village was being taken care of or promoted or being made to look better, Jack Collins' name was there. So then I moved forward in my history there, and now I'm the mayor. So now I'm involved with talking to the bid, and I'm involved with trying to keep the upkeep of the streets and everything else. And people like Jimmy and Andrew would come and say, well, I was talking to Jack Collins, he thinks we should do this with the trees instead of what we've been doing in the past. And then when you look across the street and look at the way First National was taken care of, it was like a model for the village. It's beautiful. And that was all work that you did here. So,
Thank you.
So we wanted to thank you tonight for that. And to thank you tonight, we're going to proclaim you a patron of the village. So
Thank you.
it's the mayor's purview to name someone a patron of the village. You're the first non-resident to be named a patron of the village.
I am or not?
And the qualifications to be named a patron is to just outstanding service to our community. So I've got a resolution that I want to read for you. It says, proclamation to honor Jack Collins. Whereas Jack Collins has been a fixture in the village of Scotia for the past 18 years, involving himself in multiple activities for the betterment and promotion of our community. And whereas Jack Collins served 7 years as lead co-chair for the village's 2 most popular events, Holiday on the Avenue and the Father's Day Car Show. And whereas Jack Collins further displayed a commitment to our community through his volunteer efforts in beautifying Mohawk Avenue with flower pots, benches, and lighting in cooperation with the bid. And whereas Jack Collins maintains a wide reputation as a person always ready and willing to work for the betterment of our community, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and trustees recognize Jack Collins for his exemplary dedication and service to our village, and hereby declare Jack Collins to be a patron of the village of Scotia. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everybody. It was a lot of hard work, but it's fun. It's fun work. I'd also like to thank the First National Bank of Scotia for allowing me to do this while I was a full-time employee. I am also just taking a position on the Business Improvement District, so you will see me here. I'm going to be a consultant for them, so I'll be calling on the businesses and working with the street lighting program and the sidewalks. So I'll still be here in Scotia, even though I'm not a resident. You're going to get me over here one of these days. I'm going to find something.
I think that your words could probably describe it, your own personality better than mine, but can you tell everybody what you're going to be doing with all your free time now that you're not?
Well, I have an elderly neighbor that I'm taking care of, and that was one of the reasons for my early retirement. And so I'll be taking care of him and working with the Business Improvement District. And
So I think that just speaks volume. I mean, he's taken care of the village, gone beyond and above and beyond anything that anybody would expect. And as he leaves that capacity, he's taking care of his neighbors. So I think that just speaks volume about Jack. So congratulations and thank you.
thank you
And
so
I just want
much.
to present you with this.
All right, thank you. All right,
Thank you, sir.
thank you very much.
part of this, we named a street for you.
Exactly, yeah, in a park. Great, perfect.
Thanks. So the other thing, while you're still standing here, the other thing that we do tonight, this is our February meeting, and our February meeting is the birth month of the Village of Scotia. So for you that may not know, the Village of Scotia actually used to be a ward of the city of Schenectady. At one point, it was decided that they wanted to be independent. It took a little bit of a court battle, and I don't know the details between the city of Scotia and the railroad. I don't know how they were involved or whatever. But finally, Scotia became a village. And this year marks our 111th birthday. I think I'm the 17th. Well, at first they were presidents, now they're mayors, so I think I'm like the 17th mayor of the Village of Scotia. So to celebrate that, we've got cake and water. Please come get a piece of cake, because we make this stinking thing every year. And then have to figure out what's gonna do with the firemen load it, but. So who's gonna cut the cake here?
Great, well, thank you very much. You don't want to ruin it, right?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Say
Lydia,
that.
I
I sure we're good for the bids, so convene, and we'll go to the rest of our agenda tonight. Thank you guys for coming, and you're welcome to stay if you want, but. Do we have anybody signed up there? I know Steve wants to, and I know what. Okay, item number 4 is privilege of the floor. We didn't have a sign-up sheet, but I know, Steve, you wanted to address the board, so if you would either come up right up here, or somewhere where they can hear you. I did tell them about your email, so they're a little bit familiar with what you're gonna talk about, so
Okay,
go
thank you.
right ahead.
I'm Steve Marsh, I live at 109 Michigan Street. Um, Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I'm a member of Adventure Cycling Association. It's an organization that promotes tours in all areas of the country. Typically, they sponsor week-long or 2-week-long or even month-long tours of people riding bicycles, sometimes from west to east coast, Gulf Coast to the Canadian border. Unfortunately, most of us don't have the luxury of spending a month on a bicycle. So what the Adventure Cycling Association is focusing on this year is something they call bike overnights. It's where people pack up some camping gear and they go for a night or two on a short bike tour, something they can accomplish in a weekend or a long weekend. The reason I brought this up and sent the letter to the mayor is I have a proposal I'd like to suggest to the village. I think the village is positioned very well to take advantage of this particular type of bike tourism. Scotia is located near the bike trail. There's a lot of historic sites, there's a lot of natural beauty, lots of natural wonders nearby. And the area where Scotia is lends itself very well to people coming to Scotia and going out for a night or two on a bike tour. And of course, when people would come to the village, we would expect that they would spend some money in the village. At the very least, I would expect that after a person comes back from a bike tour that they would want to have a dinner in one of the local restaurants. Before they take off, they may buy some things at Gabriel's or some of the other stores in the village. I wouldn't anticipate that you would see mounds of cash coming out of this, but I don't know of any other village or any other municipality that is focusing on this particular area of tourism. And Scotia, I think, could be the first. And being the first, I think, could have its advantages for the village, especially if we could tie it into a national organization like Adventure Cycling. The one thing that is missing is a place for people to park their cars when they go on one of these bike overnights. What I would like to suggest is if the village could consider setting up some kind of procedure, some kind of arrangements where a person could leave their car in the village lot here, possibly by calling the village police saying that they would come, or they have arrived and they would like to leave their vehicle for a night or two. Could be limited to 2 nights, whatever procedures the village would think would be necessary to assure that the lot was used properly. I think if we could set up some kind of arrangement like that and allow people to come, what you would see probably wouldn't be the big train of cyclists like you have when cycling the Erie Canal comes through, but I think what you would see is building to a steady level of visits by cyclists over the spring, summer, and the fall. From there, I think this is one thing that Adventure Cycling is hoping to do, is if people get into the overnight cycling, then they'll start to graduate to longer tours. And this might possibly develop for Scotia as well. Scotia, you might say, is at the corner of the 15 Adirondack scenic byways. If you look at the map of the byways, Scotia is in one corner of it, and then it kind of goes out from there. So all those byways are accessible from here as well. So I guess what I'd like to ask, and again, I'm not expecting an answer right now, is if Scotia could consider some kind of arrangement where people could come, leave their car for a night or two. If there were some way that we might be able to publicize this, to let people know that this opportunity is there. I've already set up 3 routes online if you'd like to look at what a cycling route might be like. In the email I sent to the mayor, which I admit was kind of long and he hasn't had time to read through it yet.
I'm glad you're admitting it.
It is, and there was a lot there, and to be fair to you, I wouldn't expect you to read it all at once. But there are some links in there. You can take a look at the routes and see what possibilities exist. There's other routes that I've planned that I haven't written yet that I could develop. So, are there any questions that you folks might have for me about this?
So, Steve, you're talking about parking privileges, not camping then?
Correct.
Okay. That seems easier than camping.
I just wanted to tell you, I skimmed your email. The first thing that I'll do with it is contact the appropriate people in the village that would need input. So that would be our attorney, our police chief, our parks superintendent, or superintendent of public works. I mean, all those people, would need to take a look at it. And then I'll be able to get back to you at least with some information about the legality of things and, where there might be some issues or questions or whatever, so.
I fully understand that the village has got a lot of behind-the-scenes work to do with this, and it's more than saying, oh yeah, park your car there. I know that there's a lot more than that, and I wouldn't expect to receive an answer in the next week or 2 or maybe even a month, which is part of the reason why I'm mentioning it now, so that hopefully by the time spring rolls around, we might have something worked out where this could be publicized and people would feel comfortable. I think as a person who has done bike overnights, and I've actually even done a bike ride along the C&O Trail, which was 5 days and 200 miles. One of the most important things is when you go on one of these trips is you have a place where you can put your car where you feel it's not been abandoned, where you haven't just left it. When I did the C&O ride, the city of Cumberland has a spot where people leave their cars when they go on these long rides. And it's not really official, but when you talk to people, the city takes notice of the cars, and they have a presence in the lot where the people leave their cars so that people know that their cars aren't just left out where anybody can vandalize them or anything like that. And I thought this would be a good spot for people to have that comfort level that they could leave their car there.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank
if anybody has any questions, wants to know a little bit more about it, I put my phone number and my email address in the
I'll
email.
forward it on to the rest of the trustees so they can read it too.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else care to be heard at privilege of the floor tonight? Just state your name and address. When you
Sure.
My name is Andy Trainer. I live on 8 Sunnyside Road in Scotia, New York. My question has to do with the property on Sunnyside Road, the Gethberts, some of us might know it more as the Pink House on Sunnyside Road by Knickerbocker that's been purchased recently, and colors changed a little bit, but it's right on the lake. 6 months ago, letters have been sent to the village and even have been sent to the village notifying them that the Christian school, that the owners or the head that lives in Charlton purchased that and is putting boarders in and is using it more as a dormitory than as a single-family home. As you know as I know, those of us that live on Sunnyside Road pay an exorbitant amount of taxes to the village because we live on Sunnyside Road. We get the same police, the same fire, the same garbage, the same everything as everyone else in the village, but because of our lot sizes and everything else, we pay an exorbitant amount to the village. The codes and the deed restrictions and everything else that goes along with that does not allow this. And it has been 6 months and nothing has been done. So I am here as a representative of all of us that live on the street to put it on record that you've known about it for 6 months. You've not done anything about it for 6 months, but there's no reason for you to not have done anything about it. You have an absentee owner that's using it as a boarding house and you know it. And I would like to hear why, so I may bring it back to the other people. We have a meeting coming up. I'd like to bring it back as to why you know about it for 6 months and haven't done anything.
The only response I can give you is that it's not true that we haven't done anything about it. We're in the middle of legal machinations over this issue, so we are doing something about it. But being in a legal situation, we're not going to make any public comments about where we stand and what's going on.
I don't understand when you say legal. I'm a banker, I know legal.
I'm not
So
going
I
to debate it
can't
with you. We've already been
understand
through this.
legal.
I'm not going to debate it with you. I'm just telling you what the facts are. If you want to have a conversation back and forth, you can call me at any time during the week. Privilege of the floor is to address the board. I'm happy to make a comment back to answer your concern, which I've done, but I'm not going to argue back and forth what legal
I'm not
means or
talking
anything
to you as the mayor, I'm talking to the board because
else.
we
It's the
all,
same situation.
it might be the same situation, but you have recognized that you've known about it for 6 months and have yet to have
Or
done
resolution.
anything about it.
We have yet to have a resolution, you're correct.
That's correct. So I just want to be on record to know that you have known about it. So if anyone on this board hasn't known about it, I want you to know that you have.
Well, I like to say I appreciate that as a new trustee. I was not aware of it, so I
I
appreciate
don't
it.
think I've heard about it at all.
Neither have I.
Yeah, that's the first I've heard of it.
Believe me, we can't understand. Because if I put a shed on my yard, you guys would be there in a matter of minutes to tell me that I didn't have the right building permit, I didn't have the right this, the that, everything else to go along with it. You would be so proactive that you would make me even remove the shed. So you've known about this, and you have legal issues when you would make me take a shed away? So I can put any shed I want up, and I don't have to worry about it because there's legal issues that are going on. I am dumbfounded at the answer. I understand that's your answer to me, to get me to be removed from the microphone. But you're the trustees that I pay my taxes to, and everyone else does. And for you to say, that answer is kind of sad. It's just sad. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to be heard at close of the floor? Seeing none, I'll close that, and we'll move to item number 5, which is a resolution to authorize the mayor to sign the 2015 Summer Recreation Program Agreement with the town of Glenville for the amount of $1,000. This is money from the town to support our summer recreation program.
Dwindling, but still there.
Yep.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Trustee Mathis?
Yes.
Trustee Gifford?
Yes.
Trustee Lockwood?
Yes.
Trustee Rizzo?
Yes.
Mayor Casper?
Yes. Item number 6 is a resolution to authorize overnight sleep in Collins Park for the Buchendale Thomas Corners Fire Department Carnival, May 26th through the 31st of 2015, and this would just let the people who own and run the carnival stay in the park overnight, because we don't allow that in our code.
So,
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that one? Please call the roll.
Trustee Mathis?
Yes.
Trustee Gifford?
Yes.
Trustee Lockwood?
Yes.
Trustee Rizzo?
Yes.
Mayor Casper?
Yes. Item number 7 is the approval of the forgiveness of the park fees for the U.S. Water Ski Show team, basically allowing them to use the spigot at Freedom Park Stage.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Trustee Mathis?
Yes.
Trustee Gifford?
Yes.
Trustee Lockwood?
Yes.
Trustee Rizzo?
Yes.
Mayor Casper?
Yes. Item number 8, I'd like to table for tonight. It's the approval of the forgiveness of the field reservation fees for the Little League. What we've done in the past is ask them to actually give us a schedule of when they want those fields to be reserved, because if they aren't being reserved by the Little League, we can reserve them to somebody else. Now, traditionally, we have forgiven the reservation fee to the Little League, but if they're not on that field, then we can collect the revenue for anybody else that wants to reserve that field. They didn't do that this time. What they did was just give us the entire month. So, basically, by doing that, we blocked out any possibility of reserving the fields at other times. So I'd like to go back to them, as we did last year, saying I want the real dates, and you'll get it for those dates, but otherwise, we keep a calendar, and we'll be able to reserve the fields when they're not being used. Item number 9 is my comments to the board. I only have a couple tonight. I don't know if anybody gets the Conservationist magazine. If you don't, if you like the outdoors in New York State, it's probably the best. I think it's $8 a year or something like that. But anyway, Carl Herzog, our newest member of the planning board, is a biologist for DEC who specializes in bats, and he's got an article in here using technology to track bats. So I don't know if you know about the whole situation with bats. We've lost about 90% of our bats to this white nose disease, and what it does is it makes them wake up during hibernation, and they basically starve to death because they become active when there's no food. So I read the article and I thought it was interesting, and I emailed him on it because I thought, geez, it must be hard to study something that doesn't live very long, right? Like a mouse only lives, I don't know how long, a couple of months or something, whatever. But I learned bats live like 15 years. It's amazing to me. So anyway, cool to see an article by somebody that's on one of our boards. I just wanted to recognize the passing of Bob Powell. He was a member of our planning board and served on several other committees. Lived on Collins Street, and I think if you went around the village, I would dare you to find anybody that could say a bad word about Bob Powell. He's just a great, great guy. So I was able to attend the wake tonight, and I just want to recognize him. It's probably already official now. Metroplex is making an announcement this evening that they've reached an agreement with Mazzone Properties for the project on the McDonald's property. So there should be an article, at least in the Times Union tomorrow on it. And I know that they're sending out a press release on it. So looks like things are rolling. So I'll let you describe what happened at the planning board, but I knew you didn't know that part of it, so
Okay.
I'll bring it up. I talked to you about our initiative in snow, and it seems to be going well. And Andrew used common sense and explained to me that when you get a big snow, more people are compliant because they have to do something. Whereas when you get these little 1 and 3 inchers, people tend to walk on them, so you get the non-compliant people then. But we've had pretty good luck with some of the non-compliant people. I'm gonna be sending one more mass email around because even the compliant people were having a problem with the intersections where they'll do their walk, but they don't cut through the bank so people can cross the intersection. So we'll do one more thank you to the people that have been pitching in, and a reminder about the intersections too. So, and I did sit down with Lydia and Andrew, and I'll report at our next work session where we're going with this, but we think we've got the system expedited as much as we can without having to change any of our code. So we should be good, I hope.
Still the mobile station in Firestone.
And a couple others, yep, and a couple others. Okay, I already talked about that, and those are my comments. Item 10 is correspondence, liaison, and special committee reports. Trustee Mathis.
First of all, I'd like to applaud the DPW for the job they did on the snow removal for the last couple Monday snowstorms that we've had. I can tell you firsthand experience, I was, because of the great job the DPW did, I actually drove to Clifton Park and did not find the same roads in the similar conditions. So I'd like to applaud them on their efforts and appreciate that immensely, effort from a lot of residents too. It's a great job, and I see that you have a future snow shoveler there to help you out tonight, so thank you again. Andrew and I had the opportunity to talk over the phone. We discussed a lot of things. One of them is the sidewalks. We discussed about that, and as the mayor pointed out too as well, with the code enforcement of that. Also too, we talked about sharing responsibilities and cost-cutting ideas too as well that we're going to be working forward on, and hopefully have some good results with that. And also too, the supplies and the tools that the DPW has to work with, and it's definitely an education piece for me, and Andrew's been very helpful in informing me about what they need and everything else, so thank you for that too.
Thank you. Thank you. Trustee Gifford.
I had a fire department meeting, relatively uneventful. Planning board meeting, as you said, was the one applicant was some engineer or something for the zone for the McDonald's property. He was basically, it was sounding out to see what the planning board would think about, is this kind of idea all right? It was not a plan at all, it was just a trial balloon, but it looked nice.
Did they have a elevation or a facade
Yeah,
picture?
yeah.
All right.
It was relatively generic, but, yeah.
All right.
Hmm?
All right, thank you. Trustee Lockwood.
Nothing to report.
Trustee Rizzo.
Our special events committee took the bows down Saturday. There was also a meeting for the Memorial Day parade. We're starting that out. And we're also trying to get together our crew for the car show, because we gotta start putting the plans together for that. I also had like 5 emails. I talked to Andrew this afternoon about how the village looked after those storms. A lot of people were very positive comments on how the village was plowed. And they said, Jesus, you could tell when you went into the city of Schenectady versus when you crossed the bridge, the roads were clear, and they did a real good job. And if I could find those emails, I'll give them up to you. That's all I have.
Thank you. I got stuck on Church Street in the city of Schenectady and had to back my truck all the way down the street and then into an intersection to get out again because it was just snowed in, so that's today.
You drive a tank.
Yeah,
You drive a tank. How did you get? Your car is huge.
I'm a former drive-right teacher.
So you don't take it places where.
No, I take it anywhere I want. It drives over all kinds of stuff. The departmental reports, anybody have any questions or comments on the departmental reports first? Anybody care to accept them with our thanks?
I move that we accept the department reports.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 12, the audit of claims.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Trustee Mathis?
Yes.
Trustee Gifford?
Yes.
Trustee Lockwood?
Yes.
Trustee Rizzo?
Yes.
Mayor Casper?
Yes. Item 13 is the approval of the minutes from the special meeting of the trustees on January 6th of this year.
I'll make the motion. I think I was there. Right? Yeah, I'm just checking.
You were.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And item 14 is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees on January 14th of this year.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 15, new business. Do any trustees have any new business for this evening?
Yes, I would like to work with our building inspector and maybe our attorney on setting some new fees for code violations. I think we ought to set a guideline on the fees so the judge knows and have it on a plateau. If the person is fined for the same thing, the fee definitely goes up. The city of Schenectady has the same type of thing, and the judge does not have a fine line to say, okay, the first offense is this amount. I mean, he doesn't know what to charge, and I like to work with our building inspector to try to get those adjusted so we have something on paper and it's pretty much mirrored the city.
Would it make sense to have Lydia look into it?
Yeah.
What the possibilities are, and then in our next work session, we'll
Yeah.
just discuss among ourselves what we're looking at for as an outcome and what the possibilities are.
And
I agree
also,
with it. I think it's a good idea. I mean,
I'd
both
like
you
to
guys
talk to
about it.
Louis on the rental properties. I mean, I've heard a lot of people call me and talk to me saying, "No, I spent a lot of money fixing my house, and here's a rental property next door to me, and the paint's peeling off it, and the village isn't doing anything." So I think we have to step up to the plate and say, look at, if everybody else takes care of their property, if you have a piece of rental property, you should maintain it like everybody else in the village, because it drags everybody down, and I don't think that's right. And I like to work on that to try to get that up and running.
Right. All right.
I'd also like to help with that because I agree with everything and echo everything Trustee Rizzo has said. I agree with that.
All right, so if we can look into,
Appreciate that.
we're
Thank you.
talking about rental, like a mandatory fine for rental property violations, is that where we're going?
That and code violations.
Code violations.
Yeah.
You ought to set a
Well,
line.
all code violations?
I'd like to talk to Lois first on it, see what his thoughts on where we can go and where he thinks the most problem is.
Okay.
Because instead of charging like 25, the judge don't really have a definite line to charge a fine. So he may say, yeah, I'll charge you $25. And, like the city of Schenectady, I know the town of Niskuna, they have something on the book saying, look, your first fine's $100, if you do it again, it's $150, and it's a plateau and goes up.
Yeah.
So-
Right, so I'm just trying to get clear in my mind because, and I don't even know it's legal, we'll find out. I'll be interested to know if you can make a differentiation between commercial or rental property and a private residence. Okay,
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
any other new business? The only new business I have is I just want to get a nod from you. Last year, last year and the year before, our building inspector was enrolled in the Court Enforcement Disaster Assistance Response Program, which basically, if you're a code enforcement officer enrolled in that and there's a disaster somewhere and they need a team of people to go in and do the inspections for new water services, or excuse me, electric services or furnaces or whatever, they bring one of these catastrophe teams in to try to get people back in their houses and up and running. So Luz has been involved in it for the last 2 years. If something like that were to happen, the deployment is typically 3 days, and they just send these team of code enforcement officers to try to get people back up and going. So does anybody have any objection to him re-enrolling in that for this coming year?
Is that also county-wide?
It would be anywhere there's a disaster.
Right, okay, yeah, no
He
problem.
went down for Hurricane Sandy. I
Yep.
think.
Right, right, I thought he did.
Okay, all right, I just didn't want to sign the paper unless it was.
Motion on that, or,
No, well, yeah, why don't you authorize the mayor to sign, to approve our code enforcement officers' enrollment in the code enforcement disaster assistance response program.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Anything else from good of the order before we adjourn? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So be it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey, can we talk about that?
Sure. No, I expected you on.
Yeah, because I don't think that's.